Welcome to another episode of Vastly Sage on YouTube. It is incredible to have these two wonderful ladies. So as we know, November 15th is Entrepreneurship Day, and it is incredible that in South Africa, beset with record unemployment, stagnant growth, and flip-flopping economic policy, SMEs are nothing short of essential for the future. And I am incredibly excited today to chat to Matebe Zvovo, Executive for Enterprise and Supply Development at Telkom, as well as Mahosi Mabaso, who's also the Managing Executive at Telkom Business and Smart Home Solutions. Two powerhouses with me. Thank you so much for joining us. Hey. How are you, ladies?
Superb, now that you're here.
Oh.
Very well, very, very well. Absolutely encouraged by an absolutely amazing day.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much. So tell us, Matebe, let me start with you. Tell us about the ESD programs that Telkom is running. And I'm asking this because I'm pretty sure you want more entrepreneurs to know about these initiatives, because I personally think they are incredible, particularly Futuremakers. What is this program about and how did it come to fruition?
All right, so Telkom Futuremakers is Telkom's Enterprise and Supply Development Unit. And, you know, when I just reflect on some of the things we do really well, is that we have made it our business to understand entrepreneurs.
Yes.
A lot of entrepreneurs are given training after training after training. What we do very well is to be able to support entrepreneurs from an investment perspective. So we actually advance funding all the way from, you know, your grant funding stage, all the way to seed investment and to growth capital. And a lot of the startups on our program have essentially received funding from us at different interventions.
Okay.
And I think the other thing we do very well is plug in technology startups within our supply chain. So we do not just do enterprise and supply development for the sake of doing it, but we do it because we ultimately want to get commercial results for both ourselves as well as our startups.
I mean, I've been part of multitudes of these programs, and some of them are literally just a tick box exercise. And I think that it is incredible to see some of the successes. And maybe before I come to Mahosi, can you tell us a little bit more about some of the successes that you're seeing, particularly in your program?
Great. So since 2015, we were launched in 2015. We've worked with over 2,500 startups. Currently, we've got a portfolio of 286 startups who have created 27,000 jobs.
Wow.
Since 2015, we have spent just close to R1 billion of procuring from entrepreneurs, from these entrepreneurs on Futuremakers alone.
Wow.
Since 2015.
Wow, that's incredible.
So collectively, Telkom procures just about 2 billion per annum from SMEs. And since 2015, we've been able to get R1 billion procured from our SMEs.
Well, it's great to know you got some money to spend here. I'm glad to have joined this program recently. Mahosi, let's come to you. Can you tell us, I mean, let's talk about YEP, because that's quite an exciting thing that Telkom launched a couple of years ago. Just tell us, what is the role of YEP in championing SMEs in South Africa, and how did it come about?
Yeah, so I always have a long story behind YEP because I really don't like to introduce something without people understanding where it comes from, right?
Yes.
So maybe with a show of hands, how many of you remember Yellow Pages?
Yeah, all of us. Yellow Pages, yes.
Remember that working thing,
right?
Yes. So YEP was actually born from Yellow Pages. So Yellow Pages, if you think about it, that we started at about 1950, before some of us were born, but yet we know it. You know? And every time I think about Yellow Pages, there used to be a point in time in Yellow Pages where we would produce about 38 million copies, right? and it had, if you recall, we had Yellow Pages in Pretoria, Joburg, right?
yeah.
And we had all those different provinces that were actually producing it. And if you think about it, Yellow Pages was as simple as the following. It was merely creating awareness for the products that the small, medium businesses, were having, and just to
Yeah.
make sure that their products are well known or services are well known by
Yes.
the market,
Yes.
right? That's what Yellow Pages was about.
Yeah, visibility. Yeah.
Exactly. But over time, I mean, as I said, we had about 38 million. Today, I think we're probably only sitting at about 11 million copies that we are producing. So you can already see that that number came down.
Yeah.
Why? Because the small, medium businesses are also transitioning to become a lot more digital
Yes.
than what they actually used to be.
Yes,
You understand?
yes.
So from there, then we had to really step back and start thinking about, so what exactly are we solving for here, right? Because these numbers are now coming down. And we thought about this YEP, and really what the YEP platform, it's all around, a small, medium business can actually sell their products on YEP. A small, medium business can buy our products from YEP.
Yes.
And more than anything else, a small, medium business can bid for work on the YEP platform.
Oh.
And that's what we are talking about when we say we are championing the small, medium businesses using a YEP.
Yes.
So when we created this platform, we made sure that this platform is not just a platform for the sake of it, but it was meant to solve specific problems
Yes.
that the small, medium businesses are actually experiencing. We wanted it to be meaningful,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
only to us, but more than anything else, to be meaningful to the small, medium businesses, and more than anything else, to be meaningful to the customers of the small, medium businesses.
I
So
see.
that's really what YEP is all about in a nutshell.
And are you seeing success in the smart marketplace? Because it's a digital marketplace, right? Are you seeing success? And also, what are how does the YEP practically help these SMEs solve for their problems? Because we all know one of the biggest challenges with small businesses is access. It's their ability, also the challenge to scale up. They scale up particularly products and services. So how does YEP help solve with these problems?
Yeah, so,
practically.
on a
Because
ve-
we've got some entrepreneurs here that
Exactly,
are
yeah,
quite
yeah.
glued to this.
Yeah, and I think, Nomonde, you are spot on.
Amanda.
Amanda, sorry. You talk about
How much champagne have you
She
had?
did, yeah. and it's all around the practicality, practicality of it.
Yes.
You're absolutely right.
Yes.
Small, medium business, they struggle with about 3 or 4 things, right? We struggle with access to funding,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And that's the core. That's the core, because if we don't have funding, we cannot grow. If we don't have funding, we cannot sustain our businesses. That's the first thing. Secondly, we struggle with skills, right? So
Yes.
we always really wanting to make sure that we have the right skills in the company, so that we can really sustain those businesses. But thirdly, and most importantly, we struggle with access to market.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So what really YEP does is, we are onboarding banks, we onboarding other small, medium business who are really keen to fund SMEs.
Yes,
All right.
yes,
So
yes.
we onboard them on our platform, and if you are part of YEP, sorry.
Yeah.
So therefore, what you would then have access to that. That's the first
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Secondly, we give you the platform to be able to sell your products and your services. So, I want to talk a little bit about this, because here, if you are in Pretoria, if you're not on our platform, you likely to probably have customers that are in Pretoria.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
But if you're on YEP, you have the capacity to be able to provide your products and services
Across
South Africa.
Yeah, yeah.
But we're also taking it to the next level, and we're saying growth cannot be defined by the boundaries of South Africa. We are taking YEP across globally,
Yes.
so that your products and services, and especially more products, right,
Yeah,
can
yeah,
then be accessible to the world. We have great products as South Africans, not replicable anywhere else.
Yeah.
So really what that does is then gives the small, medium business access to the market and broadens it up
Yes.
for them, so that they can really start growing their businesses.
But I can see how this links up to Futuremakers as well, right? Because one of the things that I've found as an entrepreneur, it is so difficult to get onboarded as a supplier onto these large corporates. And it's just like, it's one of the most disheartening things, because corporates come up and they say, we want to support small businesses. Here's our stated mission, vision. We are for the people. We believe in shared growth, you name it, nice big words. But when it comes to actual practically onboarding small enterprises and medium enterprises, it's one of the most difficult things. Even as a business that's already had a bit of success behind you. So you're not in startup phase, you're not in early stage, you are maturing as a business. To be onboarded as a supplier and a provider of services or goods or products is a very difficult thing. It's actually one of the things that discourages a lot of people from entrepreneurship or even pushing on with their businesses. Matebe, I want to come to you. For people here and watching at home who want to be part of these vendors, let's talk about Telkom, because this is what we're here about. I mean, I was very encouraged to learn about what you guys are doing. And honestly, I think that if more and more corporates can stand up and really not just tick a box, but have a real impact, it's really going to change our trajectory as entrepreneurs in South Africa. So for somebody who wants to get onboarded onto and I want to put you on the spot and say onto the Telkom supplier database, what are some of the things that they have to do? What do they have to ensure they have in place to even be considered?
All right. I'm going to take a bit of a step back and answer your question. So, with entrepreneurs, one thing you have to be very clear about is you need to understand your customer, what your customer is worried about. Mm. So before you even approach me or the team or my team, you need to understand what is in the industry within a telco space.
Yes.
What are the challenges a telco is trying to solve at this point? And how do you provide a solution to that? Because you make our lives a hell of a lot easier when you can identify that.
Yes.
And also you then need to demonstrate how you do it differently or better.
Correct.
Than anyone else that we could possibly consider. All right? Because what we do is we try and match our ESD strategy as closely as possible to the company strategy. And so if the company is saying, we're looking for people that are going to make our networks faster, efficient. We want to be more around technical innovation, and this is what it means. Or we want to diversify our portfolio, and this is what it means. That's what we are trying to onboard. And we do ESD, we get measured for essentially taking you from when we met you as an entrepreneur,
yes.
not being in the supplier base. Yeah. And then ultimately being a supplier.
Yes,
so the quicker we get that process over and done with, the better for everyone. So essentially, I mean, there are great ways to get a hold of us. Futuremakers at telkom.coza. We've got our website. And typically what we do is then we'll then meet with you. Please do send us a deck, right? Yes. And there isn't a supplier database waiting for your business to then be given that. Yeah. You kind of need to be visible. Yes. And work on that relationship. I think the entrepreneurs that have been successful in moving from the investments we made to suppliers are those that have literally been in our faces for 2-3 years.
Yeah. So they hustle proper.
They hustle. Yeah. They follow up.
Yeah.
And then what we do is we introduce you to a business partner.
Yes.
So we'll then come to Mahosi's team or go to whoever else's team.
Yeah.
It is your responsibility as a potential supplier to follow up with Mahosi.
Yes.
And to pester Mahosi, because what ends up happening is then people come back and say, well, Mahosi is not responding, or you let me down, and that is not useful. But the entrepreneurs I've seen from our program continue are those that have continuously, I have an entrepreneur that has called a business partner we introduced them to every single day for 2 years. Till this day, then, what we do is once the business has interest in you, we then move to proof of concept.
Yeah.
So then from a proof of concept, we also support you. We invest in your business at proof of concept as well to make sure that the solution you are proposing to bring on the table is customized.
Yeah, because also you have to be successful, right?
Exactly.
Because if Mahos is your business a partner or business client, internal client, you have to be bringing forth people who have thought out exactly what is it that differentiates them from those who are already on the supplier database. This is something that I think
100%.
we always, and I mean, I incubate a lot of businesses myself in my own ED and SD programs, and people will contact me and say, can I be part of the program? And I said, but okay, what is it about you and your business that makes you think that you belong on this program? Because it's not like these spots are just sitting there waiting for you. But I want to talk about, I mean, some of the things that I do in my program and the things that I, as a business person or an entrepreneur, has had the great pleasure of enjoying as part of these programs is that I've had, I mean, my very initial one, I had free office space, so I didn't have to pay for offices. It is one of the biggest costs when you start a business. So for me, this was heavenly sent. Office space, I didn't have to worry about, your infrastructure, IT, and all of those services. That was part of it. And then I could actually procure they could procure services from me as well. For me, that's real empowerment. That's really empowering suppliers and small and medium enterprises to succeed. Is this something that you guys do? Is this part of these programs? What does it practically feel and look like? And before we're going to take a quick question from the audience, but what does this feel like?
Yeah,
Tangibly?
so typically, I mean, what we do is we invest along the line, from the beginning of your business idea
Yes.
all the way till when you're a supplier.
Yes.
So for those programs that are like ideation-based programs, maybe in order to align, your business to ours, we run a hackathon or we start the Township Innovation Incubator. Along those lines, we provide, we give you the actual, we give grant funding. And a lot of it is, 100,000 Rand per business, sometimes 200,000 Rand per business. And we progress then from the grant funding to more mature funding. And so we've had a fund, a 250 million Rand fund, that in which we've given equity stakes, we've taken equity stakes, we've given loans, etc. And lastly, when you're a supplier, that's when you have access also to contract-specific funding.
Yes.
And essentially, that is our investment continuum. But along those lines, we've got different programs, right, across that continuum as well.
Yeah.
So when you are at the point where you're, you're kind of accelerating for growth, we've got an accelerator for that. And is that we really work with you to try customize your solution for us. So whether it is business software development services, so we're a technology company, and you know how much software development takes a lot of money and a lot of skill. So we provide that service as well. We're able to even connect with your own suppliers, be able to understand how much it will cost you to do a POC with us, and be able to pay for that as well.
Okay.
And then lastly, when you're a supplier, you're paid within 7 to 14 days.
Yes, which is very
which,
helpful.
which helps quite a bit.
Yeah,
And also you've got access to funding. But it's really very much a customized journey across this. As well.
I really think that's quite different. And Mahosi, we're going to come back to you. I think what you're doing is quite different because I'm not aware of programs like this that actually can take a business from ideation all the way and help you grow. Because a lot of corporate companies do not have the time or the capacity or their ability sometimes to actually walk that journey with you. Because it's always about, okay, so you already have a business, have you invoiced, you've got clients. But I think, for me, I do believe that South Africa's problems, particularly unemployment and poverty, are going to be solved by more entrepreneurs coming forth with their ideas and saying, I've got a brilliant idea, can you walk the journey with me? So that's very encouraging. Do we have a question in the audience? We've got somebody there. We've got a mic over there for you. The mic is coming through to you now. And I think whilst we wait for that question, Mahosi, so through this digital marketplace, are you finding that some of the businesses, because I mean, if you were on the yellow pages, how tech savvy are you really to move on to this digital marketplace? Are these some of the challenges you're finding with some of the entrepreneurs, or they're getting on board?
I think they're getting on board. Remember, as I said earlier, the shift already happened.
Uh-huh.
You-
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So with the shift happening, we are already leveraging on that.
Okay.
So, and therefore, and that's why this marketplace is important, because you don't really have to go and become the most techie person to be able to be onboarded. All you do is you onboard, you've got a platform where I can help you to create your own online shop, for example, and you just become the entrepreneur, you know?
And for you to bid for the work on the app, do you have to be registered as a supplier on the Telkom database, or that's an independent person?
So that's really independent.
Okay.
You know, myself and Mateba, we complement each other. So she would do a lot more onboarding, the ideation that she talks
Yes,
to.
yes.
I'm more focusing on small, medium business across the board.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
so whether you are in this program or you're not in this program, you know, you can be part of that. And the reason why this value proposition appeals not only to the SMMEs, but to the corporates themselves, is the fact that the corporates struggle with the fact that we don't know if we can trust these SMMEs, you know. But on our platform, what we've done, as I said, since 1950, actually what we have is small, medium businesses that have been vetted over the years.
Yes.
And that's really the comfort that we are bringing on the table for the corporates. Then to be able to say, look, you know what, probably we have a facility management tender that's out, you know, they can put it on our platform.
Yes,
and
yes.
small, medium business in that specific industry then have an opportunity to be able
To
to
pitch for
to
it.
bid, yeah.
Okay, great. Let's take your question, lady.
Good evening, and thank you so much for this platform. So my question is in relation to what is the appetite for the kind of program that they currently are having for currently existing businesses that are not really innovating, but they also are solving South African business problems, South African community problems. For example, you have those businesses such as the South African Post Office, which has been around for many years, but its relevance and its innovation is not really moving forward. But we do realize that it actually has a lot of people who are relying on the post office services, in the sense of it has a lot of jobs. So I just wanted to find out, it is great to have these kind of discussions for startups. Do we have something similar for existing companies, such as those that need to innovate and are literally falling behind on that? Thanks.
Thank you so much for that. So I think first of all, maybe I can try and understand this. Are you only focusing on tech-related businesses? Because firstly, a business that's not innovating is a business that's long dead, and the example you gave, we're not going to repeat much more stories about it, but you know, if you are not innovating in business, whatever industry you are in, you have to be innovating, because things change so quickly, and you have to be trying to keep up, not just with your competitors, but with the changing landscape and the changing clientele or changing customer set. So do you support other businesses that are not tech inclined or not innovation inclined?
Okay, so I think Mahosu will take it from a year perspective, right? But I think from a Futuremakers perspective, we've got two strategic objectives. The first one is helping us do things in a very efficient way from an operations perspective. Now, that may not necessarily mean that you are a technology company per se, but what we do encourage is that you really work with us. We work with businesses that are as close to the core of our operations, because there's a lot more opportunity there, and there's a lot more purchasing power there. So if we just leave you, if we just work with a business that's not necessarily core to operations, it's a great story to tell, but it may not necessarily get you the growth that you need. Having said that, it's not exclusively businesses that are completely tech. There are some marketing services that we think about as well. So all across the value chain, including, some people that compete with, I think there's an executive from Bitvest here.
Yeah, still here. But bank.
Some of our major suppliers. But I think it's really more about you having, and on the issue of innovation. So other strategic objective is innovation. But as Amanda said, on the issue of innovation, we cannot just argue that your business is the best business to support based on the fact that you're part of an ESD program, right? What we need to demonstrate is you're able to either bring costs down or you have localized help. So some of the key concerns we sometimes have is we have to get somebody from Sandton to service an area in the Northern Cape. But if you're localized in the Northern Cape, how does that work? You know, could you provide that value proposition? So I think it's really being able to also to think about yourself as how am I doing things better or differently?
Yeah.
That has to really stand out.
And Makhosi, anything to offer? And I think in the same vein, maybe offer some wrapping up comments around how Telkom is really enabling entrepreneurs and what people should really be doing to access these opportunities, because I think that's most, besides obviously going to the website, because I like web, I like YEP. You said web, now I'm saying web. YEP, I like YEP. And I think though, just in your wrapping comments around some of the encouraging words to our entrepreneurs and wannabe entrepreneurs, because if you're supporting not just established businesses, this is a great conversation to be having.
Thank you very much. So innovation is right at the core of what we do, and only because as an organization, we are also looking for ways of how we can diversify ourselves. And we cannot do that without the small, medium business innovation platforms. Because think about it, that the person that's in HR procurement, we're busy with the daily activities. We just don't have the time to innovate. So therefore, we rely a lot on SMEs to make sure that they come with these powerful ideas that we can actually invest in. And I'll give an example. I remember that during the COVID time, we worked with an entrepreneur, and we looked at the mental health. And the idea that was on the table at that time was, how does she bring both supplier and demand together? In this case, the demand was our employee base, right? The supplier in that case was a group of psychologists who then became part and parcel of this platform. And therefore, it was relevant at the time based on the fact that we're in COVID. So that's something that we could take within our organization and actually execute on it and, you know, make it come alive. So therefore, it's really important, as Matebe said, that we do something that's very closer to what we believe that can enable us to give you the access, you know. And yeah, I think from a YEP perspective, YEP is not really looking at just innovation, right? We have beauty, we have gardening services, we have everyone is really part and parcel of that. So that's where we make provision rather for such companies to be part and parcel of.
Do people pay for YEP?
So at the moment is free to actually register in there.
Yeah.
However, for example, as you sell your products, for example, we will probably get to the point where we have a clip of a fee, very small. Because it's not really a platform that we are meant to do billions for, right? It's a platform that's really meant to enable the small, medium business, because your success is our success. You know, we understand as a company that we are not an island, and we are really part and parcel of a bigger ecosystem that we really have to actually enable.
You said something that I think I hadn't realized, the fact that you are also looking at supporting entrepreneurs who are going to help Telkom diversify its own business lines and innovate. And that I think there's something really powerful in that, because and I guess also straight to that question that we had earlier on around, you know, organizations that stop to innovate those are organizations that are not exactly thriving or going to thrive into the future. I wish I had more time for this discussion, but I think we've given enough knowledge, insight, and information. And anybody who is interested in accessing opportunities at Telkom, be it the ED and SD program, futuremakers.co.za, and also please access the YEP on your browser, digital marketplace. And I think there's some really incredible resources here that don't have to cost you money as an entrepreneur to get the necessary support you need and your ability to scale. Matebe, Mahosi, thank you so much for the insights. We really appreciate your time. Thank you.